I want to bring in Michael Steele, an MSNBC political analyst and co-host of The Weekend here on MSNBC. He's also the former RNC chairman. So Michael, we are seeing more Trump allies show up in court this week. Rick Scott, senator from Florida, the latest, along with some of his campaign aides like Boris Epstein. We know Eric Trump is the only family member who's been in court throughout these proceedings. What do you make of what Vaughn just shared with us and those comments from Senator Scott?
Well, all the little ducklings are starting to follow behind Mother Duck. And I'm sure we're going to start to see a parade of folks fly into this case, fly up to New York, could be a part of this narrative. I take note that Donald Trump just kind of walked by Rick Scott. I assume he knows who the senator is. But
there he is coming back
with
in.
Trump, you never know.
Sorry to interrupt you, Michael. We're just showing that the former president is now heading back into the courthouse. But I'm sorry, Michael, continue.
Okay, yeah, and this is the other thing. I mean, I don't think we need to detail every movement of Donald Trump. It plays into his narrative to make him something other than what he actually is, and that's a criminal defendant. And I think we need to be very careful about that and how we present this story to the country. And that's important when it comes to what we're talking about. Someone like Rick Scott or others coming up and being able to mouth the words that Donald Trump has been gagged from doing. It's laughable to go after the judge's daughter who contributed money to a campaign, to a Democratic campaign. So that disqualifies that judge or somehow makes them biased. I give you Eileen Cannon, who was appointed by Donald Trump, who just delayed the trial for inexplicable reasons. Oh, I know, to help Donald Trump. So, Rick Scott, are you going to address that? Is Eileen Cannon somehow a bad actor, a bad faith actor in this? No, of course not, because it's furthering Donald Trump's narrative. It's delaying one of the most important trials of this century. So I think we need to put all of this in perspective and understand exactly what's happening here and treat it the way we would any other scenario involving Donald Trump, and that is making sure the lies are rebuffed and refuted and not leveling up his storyline any more than we already have, because it just bakes in a narrative about him that undermines the case that he's involved in. And that is, let's let the case play out and let the jury decide his guilt or innocence instead of trying to, play along this sort of TV narrative with Donald Trump coming out and spewing crazy.
And right now, the Judge Merchan, is asked to get back to the witness inside that courthouse. And Michael, it's interesting because oftentimes one wonders how much of this could play a part outside, right? And then we're looking at 6 months till the election. Elise was just saying that for the most part, most people have who Trump is, according to them, baked in. Is this something that you think could change the needle?
Yeah, I think to some degree it can. I mean, if a jury comes back with a conviction here, that's a very powerful statement. It says that Donald Trump, as we saw with the the Jean Carroll case, was, culpable. And as he's been shown culpable in the past, whether it's Trump University or managing his business affairs. So this becomes another part of that narrative that voters then have to assess, Jose, in their decision on who the next president of the United States should be. An already adjudged criminal defendant, someone who's been adjudged a sexual predator, someone who's been found guilty of bad business practices, or the current president, who the worst thing he's done is get, infrastructure bills done. I mean, so, this is the way that the states have to look at this, and those battleground states, the voters in those battleground states, right, and voters across the country are going to have to assess this election. This will play a part in that for sure.
Michael Steele, thank you so much for taking some of your day